The story of Ethan Cross looks like a classic American dream. A small-town boy with a guitar and a battered notebook becomes the most recognizable voice on earth. But when you dig deeper, when you listen closely, you hear something in Ethan's music that defies explanation. Fans called it magic. Critics called it otherworldly. Some even whispered the word supernatural. And in the end, that whisper might have been closer to the truth than anyone realized. Ethan grew up in Crest Haven, a sleepy coastal town in Maine. Neighbors remember him as quiet, often drifting toward the cliffs after school with a notebook in hand. His mother, Lorraine Cross, would later tell interviewers, music was the only thing that made sense to him. He wasn't into sports, didn't run with the crowd. But if he was near the ocean, he was at peace. He'd sit for hours, just scribbling lyrics, staring at the waves. By his late teens, Ethan was playing in coffee shops and bars. His voice was good, clean, heartfelt, but not remarkable. In recordings from that period, you hear a young man trying his best, reaching for something greater but not quite touching it. A former bandmate recalled, he wanted it so bad. Fame, recognition. But there was always this wall. People clapped, but no one remembered him the next day. At 20, Ethan was on the edge of giving up. His friends were going to college, starting careers, moving away. He was still waiting tables, still writing songs no one heard. According to Ethan's private journals, there was a night in late summer when everything shifted. He had played a show at a cafe, and only 3 people clapped. Humiliated, he walked out to the cliffs after midnight. In his journal he wrote, "I sang into the dark. Not for anyone, just to get the ache out. My voice cracked, I felt stupid. Then the water moved. Like it was listening." That was the night Ethan claimed he first saw her. Witnesses aren't reliable here, because there were none. The only evidence is his words, written in shaky pen. She came from the water. Silver hair, eyes like the deep. She said she could give me a voice the world would never forget. All I had to do was sing for her. To outsiders, it looks like the ramblings of a desperate young man. But what happened next is undeniable. Within weeks, everything changed. At an open mic in Portland, Ethan stunned the audience with a performance so powerful that people wept openly. Videos went viral. Local journalists called him a once-in-a-generation voice. By the next year, Ethan Cross had a record deal. His debut single, "Drown in You," shattered streaming records. Critics marveled at how his songs seemed to pierce the human spirit. Rolling Stone wrote, "His voice isn't just beautiful, it's elemental, like the sound of something bigger than us." Fans described his concerts in near-religious terms. People fainted, sobbed, felt washed clean. A cultural phenomenon was born. And Ethan? He acted as though it was all a dream. In interviews, he credited hard work, faith, and the ocean. That last detail was brushed off as poetic metaphor. But in his private notes, Ethan wasn't so sure. Even at the height of his success, there were odd moments. Crew members noticed Ethan sometimes stood alone backstage, humming to himself as though answering someone only he could hear. His longtime manager recalled, before shows, he'd pour a bottle of water into a bowl and stare at it. I thought it was just some weird ritual, like athletes who wear lucky socks. But he took it seriously. Too seriously. Ethan also avoided pools, lakes, and especially the ocean itself. Despite building an empire off of water imagery, his music videos full of waves, floods, rain, he never swam, never boated, never vacationed near the sea. To the world, he was untouchable. But privately, Ethan confessed unease. In one rare entry from his journal, he wrote, "The voice isn't mine anymore. When I sing, it feels like she's there, pushing through me. The crowds love it, but what happens when she asks for something in return?" By 25, Ethan Cross was the world's biggest pop star. Sold out stadiums, platinum records, Super Bowl halftime. But fame couldn't drown out the sound in his head. A backup singer recalled, "Sometimes after a show, he'd come off stage shaking. Not from exhaustion, from fear. He'd say things like, 'The tide is getting stronger.' None of us knew what that meant." Others noticed a shift in his music. The later songs grew darker, filled with imagery of drowning, storms, being pulled under. Some fans thought it was just maturity, but insiders saw a man haunted by something unseen. The final straw came one night in Miami, during a performance broadcast live to millions. In the middle of a ballad, the lights flickered. For a split second, cameras caught a strange reflection in Ethan's eyes. A glimmer of deep green, like the ocean floor. Most dismissed it as a lighting glitch. But for those close to him, it was confirmation. Something about Ethan's gift wasn't natural. What began as a dream was curdling into a nightmare. The boy from Maine who sang to the sea had become the world's most beloved artist. But every gift has a price. And soon, the world would discover that the ocean always comes to collect. By 25, Ethan Cross stood at the top of the world. His music wasn't just popular, it was worshipped. He was the voice of a generation. His concerts compared to religious revivals. His presence magnetic, overwhelming. But behind the lights, Ethan was unraveling. His closest confidants described a man plagued by visions, whispers, and a growing fear that his talent wasn't truly his own. And as investigators would later piece together, his suspicion was correct. On stage, Ethan appeared untouchable. Off stage, he was fragile. Tour staff began noticing strange behaviors. He would sit in dark rooms with bowls of water, whispering to them. He would cancel rehearsals claiming he could hear the tide calling. A sound engineer recalled. He'd stop mid-song and ask, "Did you hear that?" None of us heard anything, but he swore he heard waves. In hotel rooms, in arenas hundreds of miles from the ocean, he heard waves. At first, these quirks were dismissed as eccentricities. Megastars are often peculiar, but Ethan's fixation deepened. In his journals, Ethan began addressing someone directly. You were there again. In the mirror. In the bowl of water. You smiled when I hit the high note. But I'm not sure if it was me singing or you." He described her as Narissa, the name he claimed the sea goddess had given him years earlier. His therapist, one of the few who knew of these writings, later said, "He believed he had made a pact. He told me, I didn't get here on my own. I owe her, and I don't know what she'll take in return." The most chilling public sign came in 2021, during Ethan's Miami concert, broadcast worldwide. Midway through a ballad, the lights dimmed. For a split second, high-definition cameras caught his irises glowing a deep, unnatural green. The clip went viral. Fans debated endlessly. Was it stage lighting? Digital manipulation? But those close to Ethan knew he had been spiraling before that night. His manager admitted, "He told me right before the show, if I don't come back, tell my mom it was the ocean." I thought he was joking. After Miami, I wasn't so sure. In the months that followed, Ethan retreated. He canceled tours, citing exhaustion. Rumors swirled: substance abuse, mental illness, burnout. But his neighbors in Los Angeles reported odd sightings. Ethan standing motionless by his backyard pool at 3 a.m. Ethan walking barefoot during rainstorms, eyes closed, mouth moving as if chanting. One neighbor swore she saw him speaking into the pool water, whispering, "Not yet. Please, not yet." In December of that year, Ethan wrote his last known journal entries. Investigators later found the notebook hidden in a locked drawer. The final pages are unsettling. The tide grows louder every night. I can't silence it. She says the gift was never free. She wants me back. When I sing now, I feel hollow. Like she's draining me. The crowds cheer, but I don't exist. Only her song does. The sea doesn't give. It only lends. And it always takes back. On January 14th, Ethan Cross vanished. His car was found near the rocky cliffs of Cresthaven, the same place he had first sung to the waves years earlier. Inside the vehicle were his shoes, his phone, and a small notebook. The last line written, "I'm going home." Despite exhaustive searches, no body was ever recovered. Locals reported hearing strange singing the night he disappeared, low, haunting melodies carried across the water. Some swore it was Ethan's voice. The official conclusion, presumed drowned. But for many, the mystery remains. Like all great tragedies, Ethan's story attracted theories. Some argue he suffered a psychotic break, creating the myth of Narissa as a coping mechanism for the pressures of fame. Others insist there was something real about the way his voice affected people, something not of this world. A musicologist who studied his recordings noted, "There are harmonics in his live performances that don't register as human, overtones that shouldn't exist. It's as if there were two voices singing, his and something beneath it." And then there are the testimonies from Cresthaven. Fishermen claim that on quiet nights, if you listen closely to the waves, you can still hear Ethan's voice rising and falling with the tide. Ethan Cross remains one of the most enigmatic figures in modern music. His career burned bright and ended abruptly, leaving behind questions no one can answer. Was he simply a troubled genius who cracked under pressure? Or was he, as some believe, a vessel for something older, something vast, something from the deep? For his mother, the answer doesn't matter. In a rare interview, she said softly, "People ask me all the time what really happened to Ethan. I tell them, listen to the ocean. That's where he always was. That's where he'll always be." True crime stories often end with justice served, with killers unmasked or mysteries solved. But Ethan Cross's case doesn't fit that mold. His rise and fall remind us of an older truth, older than fame, older than music. The ocean does not give without taking. Its gifts are borrowed, its beauty edged with danger. Ethan Cross sang with a voice that belonged to the sea. And in the end, the sea called him back.